Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into something that has totally changed the game for how we build stuff. I'm talking everything from software to marketing campaigns. We're talking about Agile and its most famous sidekick, Scrum. Seriously, just think about it for a second. We've all heard those horror stories, right? Huge projects that go millions over budget, take years longer than they should have, and when they're finally done, they're not even what people wanted in the first place. It's a huge problem. But what if the issue isn't the project itself, but the entire way we go about doing it? You see, for the longest time, the old way of working was basically set in stone. You'd make this gigantic, super detailed plan at the very beginning and then just stick to it, no matter what. This usually meant costs would skyrocket, you couldn't adapt to anything new, and the worst part? You'd find all the major show-stopping errors right at the very end. The modern way, though, it just flips that whole idea on its head. It's all about getting the highest value and quality in the shortest time by being ready to adapt to anything. So how do we actually do that? How do we make that switch? Well, the answer isn't some new, complicated process. It's a whole new philosophy, a new way of thinking. It's called the Agile mindset. It all kicked off back in 2001. A group of software developers got together, they were fed up with the old way, and they wrote what's called the Agile Manifesto. And it's just this beautifully simple document that lays out 4 key values. Think of it as the North Star for this entire approach. So what are these big, game-changing values? Well, first, it's about putting people and how they work together above rigid, strict processes. Second, it's about focusing on building something that actually works, not just creating mountains of paperwork. Third, it's about making your customer a true partner, working with them the whole time. And last, and this one is huge, it's about welcoming change, seeing it as an opportunity, not as a problem to be avoided. Now, look closely at this slide, because the most important word on here is over. See, Agile isn't saying that things like plans or tools or documentation are useless. Not at all. It's just saying that the things on the left, the people, the working product, the collaboration, and being adaptable, are simply more valuable. It's a huge shift in priorities. It means we value responding to a new discovery over blindly following a plan we wrote 6 months ago when we knew less. Okay, so that's the big idea. Agile is the philosophy, the why. But you're probably asking, how do you actually do it? Well, that's where frameworks come in. And the most popular one in the world, by a long shot, is called Scrum. If Agile is the mindset, Scrum is the playbook. It gives you the real nuts and bolts. It takes those values from the manifesto and builds a structure around them, giving you specific roles for your team, specific activities to do, and even specific things to create and manage. Now, at the very heart of Scrum is a small, focused team. And on this team, there are 3 very clear roles. You have the product owner, the Scrum Master, and the development team. And you'll notice there's no traditional project manager in that list. So let's break down what each of them actually does. First up, the product owner. This person is the champion for the product. They are the voice of the customer, loud and clear. Their entire job is to look at everything the team could possibly do and decide what's the single most valuable thing we can build right now. They own the what and the why. Next, we have the Scrum Master, and this role is so often misunderstood. The Scrum Master is not the team's boss. Think of them more like a coach or a protector. They are a servant leader. Their job is to clear roadblocks out of the team's way, shield them from outside distractions, and just make sure the whole process is running smoothly. And finally, of course, you have the development team. These are the builders, the makers, the ones who actually get the work done. The key here is that they are cross-functional. They have all the skills needed right there on the team. And most importantly, they are self-organizing. The product owner decides what to build, but the development team gets to decide how to build it. All right, so we've got our team, we know who they are, but what does their day-to-day actually look like? Well, Scrum is all about working in short, repeatable cycles. Let's walk through what that looks like. So it all begins with something called the product backlog. This is just the master wish list for the entire project, and the product owner is constantly keeping it prioritized. At the start of a cycle, the team gets together for sprint planning, where they pull a small chunk of work from the top of that list. They then commit to getting that chunk 100% done during a short time box called a sprint, usually 1 to 4 weeks. Every single day of that sprint, they have a quick 15-minute check-in. And at the end, They show off what they actually built in a sprint review. And then they do it all over again. So how do you make sure that master wish list, that product backlog, is actually focused on what matters? Well, a lot of teams use a simple format called a user story. It forces you to think from the customer's point of view. So instead of a task like build a login button, it becomes, as a returning customer, I want to log in quickly so that I can see my past orders. See the difference? It keeps the focus squarely on delivering real human value. Let's zoom in on that quick daily check-in, the daily scrum. It's super simple. For 15 minutes every day, each team member answers these 3 questions. What did I do yesterday? What am I going to do today? And are there any roadblocks in my way? Now, what's so important to get is that this is not a status report for a manager. It's a planning session for the team, by the team, so they can sync up and help each other out. So at this point, you might be thinking, okay, this all sounds pretty cool if you work for a software company. But trust me, the ideas we're talking about here are so much bigger than that. So is this whole Agile and Scrum thing really just for people who write code? The answer is a huge, emphatic no. And understanding why that is unlocks the real magic of this entire mindset. It doesn't matter if you're in marketing, research, HR, or even planning a wedding. These ideas are pure gold. Embrace the fact that things will change. Build a team that truly collaborates and has each other's backs. Focus on delivering real, tangible value in small pieces early and often. And maybe most importantly, create little moments to pause, reflect, and get better in short cycles. So when you boil it all down, what's the one big takeaway? It's this fundamental shift in thinking. The goal isn't to follow a plan perfectly anymore. The real goal is to constantly learn and adapt, working together to make sure that whatever you're building is the right thing, the thing people actually need. And that leaves you with a question. Where in your work can you stop just following the plan and start adapting to build the right thing?